Hi everyone, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it tonight, but I wanted to still send a video presenting my culminating project. The big idea that I chose was matter can change state. So to illustrate that, I went with a print that really focuses on transformation, and that was a word that I used a lot and thought about frequently throughout the completion of this project as a way to illustrate matter changing state, things transforming and becoming something new, something they weren't before. So in M.C. Escher's print Metamorphosis 2, this print, even though you can't see clearly on the printed version, is actually a woodcutting print, and it spans 12 feet by 7 inches long, 7 inches tall, 12 feet long. And so it's quite a fantastic work in itself, just given its size. What happens throughout the piece is Escher shows the morphing between geometric shapes and organic shapes across the entire work. And if you look at it carefully, you can almost label it out to show that there's a specific pattern to the way that Escher is using color, black and white, the different values. And if you see the example in my project, I gave an idea of how one could label it to clearly demonstrate that it is a palindrome. He starts with the word metamorphosis, and there's the very thin lines, very light lines on that part, and then he transitions it slowly into a darker pattern, the black and white checked, and then section by section, he chooses to add one color at a time, and through the inclusion of darker and lighter lines, he demonstrates the morphing or the transforming of one shape into another. So for the lesson that I chose to do with the assessment with students, what I did was start with Escher's print and talk about what they see. And you can ask them a lot of questions and lead them toward observing this transformation that you're trying to demonstrate through the inclusion of this print. The actual project that the students complete then is a imitation of Escher's work, except in the background, instead of using the details like Escher did to make each section of the work very specific and very intentional, what I did was just use simple shapes cut out of construction paper and instructed students to do a specific pattern with those shapes, showing the movement from one shape, and geometric, into another shape, an organic, just like Escher does. The background, though, I ended up doing a little mini lesson, a side trip, if you will, on tinting. And so we started with a certain color, and then we added one drop of white at a time and drew another stripe, just like we were shown an example in class. So through the completion of this project, the students are talking about transformation, matter-changing state, objects becoming things that they weren't before through the slow morphing of the lines and the detail, the thickness, the values. And in that, I am able to sneak in a couple of little mini lessons, the tinting, and as well talking about patterns. Through the pattern inclusion, I was able to integrate a math standard. I didn't mention. Sorry, I got a phone call and was cut off on the last video. I was talking about the patterns and including the math standard and using it for a first grade lesson. I did have the opportunity to run this lesson though, and I did it with a first grader and kindergartner. And what I found was that the kindergartner was able to keep up just as well as the first grader. So I think you could easily use this lesson in either grade level. So that's my culminating project. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.